What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, guys. We here with my guy Evan Thomas, learning American versus Swedish restaurants. Y'all already know about the tipping culture and stuff like that, but I don't think I dived into that many Swedish restaurants, So, and I'm starting next year. I'm gonna be starting my Swedish fund. My Sweden fund, to where I'm probably show y'all just what I'm doing to raise funds to be able to go to Sweden. So this is gonna be a wonderful thing. I'm telling y'all this. I'm gonna be there. I don't know. I'm trying to see maybe May or June, cause y'all was telling me the gaps to enjoy that summer weather. So that's what I'm shooting for. So I'm working towards that. And yeah, y'all gonna see me there. This something 2023. Dog will be in Sweden. So, but we finna check this out. See the 10 biggest differences. Y'all hit that subscribe button. Let's jump into it.
People always ask me what I miss most about the US, and it's actually not the weather, to many people's surprise. It's actually the food and restaurants. And I'll explain that in the very end of the video, what I mean by the restaurants, because there's something that the US has that Sweden doesn't, and it's a huge, major difference. It's $1 billion idea for Sweden. So stick around to the end to see what we're talking about there. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about the top 10 differences between Swedish restaurants and American restaurants.
Okay.
So there's one thing that you always complain about when we go out to eat at restaurants, and that is the service.
Okay.
Yeah, the service in Sweden is not great. There are restaurants that have good service, to be sure. We actually went to one this weekend in Gothenburg.
Okay.
Amazing service, but the vast majority of restaurants have substandard service, I would say.
Yeah.
And I think it's because, or let's see, there are many Swedish restaurants with excellent service referred to average service. Okay. And then too, I know y'all be telling, they already getting a certain wage, so it ain't like they got to work super hard for a tip. Because I feel like here in the States, hey, you got to give that good customer service, especially if you want $20 tip. You got 5 tables, they give you $20, $25. You done made $100 right there. So you know what I'm saying? You want to make sure you give them some good service.
Like you can sit down, they show you to the table, and then you can wait like 5 minutes before they even come and acknowledge you. It takes a long time to get the food, and they don't really ask how the food is tasting.
Yeah, and I might be a little bit more picky than most people because I've worked in many restaurants when I was a teenager growing up and through college. So I pay attention to service. And for example, one thing that you learn in the United States is never let someone's drink get empty. So when their drink is about 10% left, you come up, can I offer you another drink? You always offer desserts. You make sure that the table is cleaned between the appetizers and the main course. You're always refilling the water. I just feel like the hustle is missing.
Yeah.
The hustle is missing from Swedish service.
I'm telling you, it's because they already getting a fair wage.
Number 2, why we think that the service isn't as good here as it is in the US. And that has to do with the tipping.
Yeah, so in the United States, it's customary to tip between 10% and 20% of the cost of the meal towards the tip of the waiter. So for example, if a meal costs you $100, you would tip anywhere between $10 and $20. And I know that Europeans absolutely.
But the thing is, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Like when I go, I think we giving more, cause like you just said, for $100 tab, $10 to $20. We give about $10 for a $50, $60 tab. And because, in the tipping culture, most Americans ain't gonna lie, they be expecting more. Sometimes I don't think they know the percentages, because for $100 tab, some of them might get mad that they get $10 and they like, dang, this was $100. They could have gave me more. They already paid $100 for the food type of thing. So yeah, it's give or take type of thing.
I hate tipping. Because when I was a server and we had Europeans come into the restaurant, no one would want to take the table because we knew they weren't going to tip. Tipping incentivizes people to perform better. So if you know that the better service you give, the higher chances of a better reward, then I think that's why the service in the US
is a lot of money.
Superior, because the servers know they're going to get tipped if they do a better.
Did he just a top tier?
The service in the US is.
What the? I'm in the wrong. I didn't work hard to get my degree just to not make this. And you telling me somebody just being good at what in the world?
Superior, because the servers know.
I knew waiters can make some money. I knew, like I said, I was a waiter I never worked at like a 5-star restaurant or nothing like that. You know, maybe 2 or 3, but that's a lot of money. Like 6 figures.
So they're gonna get tipped.
You're probably working every day, but dang.
I have 2 things to say about that.
Okay.
Number 1, we do tip. We don't tip as much.
True.
And the second, when I lived in the US and you had really bad service at a restaurant, Americans still gave a lot of tip.
That's
even
true.
if the service was bad. And you're supposed to give tip to the people that do a good job, which I found really annoying, that you would still give more of your money to someone that didn't do the job.
She got a point.
When I go to eat, I want to have an experience and to be taken care of, and I'm willing to tip 10%, 15% for that.
That's crazy.
Another difference I've noticed from living in Sweden is the lunch culture. So in the US, you normally go out to lunch with your coworkers, and
lunch
you have an hour break, you kind of get out of the office, you just unwind for a minute, you go to lunch, you talk about things. In Sweden, I noticed from day one, I thought it was so interesting, was that everyone brought a lunch. And there was like 10 microwaves in the kitchen at work, and everyone put in their lunch and sat around the table. So that is a huge difference.
Yeah.
That's a good thing,
And I don't know
though.
why it is like that. I guess you cook dinner every night and you have leftovers. Like if we make,
Leftovers
salmon,
are
we have more
important.
salmon. We just bring that to lunch the day after.
Yeah,
and
it's a lot
I mean,
cheaper.
it's cheaper. I mean, you've already
That's
cooked
true,
the
that's
food.
true.
It's like, is that going to go to waste in your house?
I ain't gonna lie, I've been on my leftovers lately, but that's different because I come when, especially in education, because most teachers, they bring their lunch just because, like, you can't really leave. You only get 30 minutes. And they only got 2. Mind you, there's like 4 or 5 teachers. Especially during lunchtime, you take the kids to lunch and stuff. We got 2 microwaves. 4 or 5 teachers. And it's really like you can't even bring a frozen dinner because, frozen dinner is going to take 5 to 10 minutes depending on how cold it is. So it's like you can't even really have a good lunch. But you can bring your leftovers. Leftovers might not take long, but then again, like 4 or 5 people waiting, and you only got 1 or 2, microwaves. And the thing is, like, everybody have lunch at different times, so you might have the PE teacher on break to do. So it might be 5, 6, 7 people and 2 microwaves. 10, that's a different level right there. 10 microwaves.
One thing we have in the US that you don't see so much in Sweden, when we definitely have these a lot in LA, is drive-thrus. So you can have drive-through coffee. You have a drive-through Starbucks. You have drive-through laundromats. You have drive-through, of course, you have the drive-through fast food chains. There's a lot of drive-thrus in the US. I think
lot of drive-thrus.
people are just more lazy over there.
More lazy, and they're more in the car. They spend more time in the car.
That's true.
There's longer distances if you're going from point A to point B. You need to get a coffee on the way. Here it's more like a smaller city center. If you work in the city, you can just go to the nearest cafe and get a coffee.
And they have these drive-through cities. If you're driving through remote parts of the country, so let's say you're driving from LA to Las Vegas, it's a 5-hour drive through the desert. There are cities of drive-through restaurants, and I'm not exaggerating. There are 15 to 20 chains. So your McDonald's, your El Pollo Loco, your Taco Bell, your Burger King, Jack in the Box, Arby's. There's every fast food restaurant you can imagine, and they all have drive-thrus.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre, actually.
Bizarre yet convenient.
I guess the city was built after the restaurants came.
No, I mean, there's nothing else there. It's just drive-through restaurants and some gas stations.
Well, I hop there. I don't think I hop out
and the double lane drive-throughs, and it's really bizarre.
That's different. That's how it is, though.
One thing I noticed when I was living in the US was there was a lot of busboys, you would say, that were taking the water, pouring water for you, doing this and that. And I haven't really seen that in Sweden as much.
I haven't seen that either.
You have the person welcoming you when you come into the restaurant, and then you have your server that comes and fills up your water and stuff. But you don't really have the terminology busboy.
I feel like the busboys. I think the busboys usually there when they usually in action when a restaurant is packed and one of the waitresses or waiters got too many tables.
Busboys or bus girls are the people that just clean the tables and bring out new dishes and things like that. So they're kind of one step below a server. And if you want to break into the restaurant industry and become a server, you start as a busboy and kind of work your way up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I started as a busboy and I loved it. You also got tips. You got the servers share their tips with the busboys.
But I didn't know they did that.
No,
just
not
service.
really. Just the service, yeah.
Maybe it's bigger restaurants that do
One
that.
thing that drives me crazy about restaurants in Sweden is the hours. So they open later and they close earlier.
Yeah.
Especially on weekdays.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
Major restaurants here in the city of Gothenburg, you can't have a meal after 9 o'clock.
No, that's true. People don't really go out to eat dinner on a weekday as much as you do on the weekends. I mean, on the weekends you can go out to eat dinner at 10 o'clock.
Hey, after 9 is that high blood pressure type hours to eat. So I've been eating early these days, and I think it helps to digest your food. So you can go to, have a good night's sleep. Because when I used to eat after 9 and stuff like that, it was hard to sleep because I got too full. Food ain't digesting. I'm tossing and turning until it digests.
I think during weekdays, they close the kitchen around
9.
8 or 9. Yeah. And weekends, I would say 10 or 11. So yeah, it's a big difference for sure. But then again, people don't really go out to eat as much. I don't know if Americans feel like they don't cook as much as Swedes do. I mean, I know that there's millions of amazing chefs in the US, but I feel like people don't really cook as much at home.
I guess it depends where you are, what city, and your age, and so on. But I mean, in LA, we would eat out all the time.
I think that's become a new norm too, because even for the holidays these days, for Thanksgiving and Christmas to say, most people, they go out to eat. These restaurants are open on these days where you think, places would be closed. Restaurants are open because they're packed, because people are not cooking no more. They're eating at the restaurant.
Yeah. You go to restaurants all the time.
I've noticed now with coronavirus, all of your friends, every single one that I have on Instagram, I've never seen them post any type of food. And now all I see is people just posting pictures of what they eat, because now they can't go out, so they have to be inside and cook.
Brunch culture is a huge thing in the US and especially in LA. So Sunday brunch is a bit of a party, and people get together, all their friends. You go out to a restaurant that is usually a trendy, cool restaurant. They might have live music. They might
what restaurant is that?
Someone performing.
Yeah.
Usually there might be a sports game on.
And there's always bottomless mimosa.
Bottomless mimosas, eggs Benedict.
Where is this brunch place at that they got a pool out there? What in the world?
And there's always...
This is next level brunching. I only had brunch for one time.
Always bottomless mimosa.
Bottomless mimosas, eggs Benedict.
Yeah.
Pancakes, bacon, waffles.
Oh
it's
my
kind of like hangover
that
food.
Good, though.
Yeah.
It's a really popular thing to do in your 20s. I mean, that was a huge thing.
That's
Sunday
a lot of
brunch,
waffles.
and it usually turns into a party. They do it in
Really
Australia
fun,
too, actually. Because
yeah.
when I lived in Australia, we did Sunday brunches a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you don't have that in Sweden so much.
We go
Shout out
for
to
brunch.
Australia.
We wouldn't like turn it into a party. As much. You would have like a coffee with your pancakes. You wouldn't have bottomless mimosa.
Right.
You could have like one glass of wine or something. But I feel like on Sundays you don't really want to party and drink because then you wake up hungover on Monday.
Right. They call it Sunday Fun Day. So
Sunday
people
Monday.
it's an LA thing, I guess. I mean, there's so many weird, dumb LA
I
things.
heard of Sunday Fun Day in
people
Texas.
would party till 5 p.m. If you're enjoying this video so far, you can say thank you by clicking the like button. And if you want to see more videos about Sweden versus the US, please click subscribe. And if you have a comment for us, any questions, we read every single comment and we try to respond to as many as possible. So leave your comment or question in the comment section below. It's really hard to find reviews of restaurants in Sweden. I know there's TripAdvisor and you can use Google reviews, but one thing that everyone has in the US is an app called Yelp. And Yelp is...
I'm over here talking about Yelp is new, but it's really not. But Yelp is very, I didn't find out about Yelp till a couple of years ago. And that's because it just, when you're at, I think I was in downtown Dallas and I've seen it on every building or every restaurant, so it was what is Yelp? And they were offering, they were you can get a discount and all free food and stuff like that if you download the app. So that's how I found out about Yelp.
It's an app that allows you to review products, services, goods. So
hairdresser. Going to get your eyebrows fixed or whatever. Restaurants,
they use it for
clothing
everything.
stores.
You can rate your doctors. You can rate your anything.
Yeah.
But Yelp is huge, and you always Yelp a restaurant before you go there.
Yep.
And if you don't know what you're in the mood for, you just go on Yelp and you browse the best rated restaurants near you. You can read reviews from people. So that's one thing that I missed coming here was Yelp, and I'm surprised no one has started anything. Is there anything similar?
I mean, I would say TripAdvisor is like the European version of it, but TripAdvisor is a pretty bad website, I think.
I thought TripAdvisor for like flights and like those type of destinations.
Experience.
I didn't know they had restaurants.
Yeah, really bad like website in general. There is, I mean, Yelp. Like there is Yelp in Sweden or like in Europe, but no one uses it, so there are no reviews.
Right.
So that's like.
We should start a Swedish Yelp.
Yep.
Yeah, we should.
Business idea.
That's a good idea.
And if we talk about alcohol, that is a major difference too, I would say. The pricing of alcohol. I mean, Sweden is known for having high prices on alcohol. I would say like one of the highest in Europe almost.
The taxes on alcohol are insane. So
Dang.
if you go out to dinner here, you can only get, I mean, depends on how much you want to spend, but you typically get 1 glass of wine, 2 glasses of wine. In the US, it's much cheaper, of course. So I feel like the dinners get a little bit crazier.
Yeah.
It's more of like a thing on
and then,
in LA.
Then in Sweden, it's kind of, I wouldn't say limited, but you have certain time limits that you have to get this stuff outside of a restaurant, you know? So, but I have heard it's expensive. You know, I think people, if I'm not mistaken, people going to like Denmark or well, I think Norway even more expensive than Sweden. But I think people are going like to Denmark to get groceries, get stuff, you know, then go back home.
To like go to a bar on a Saturday. And well, I guess we do that here in Sweden too. It's just Corona time, so.
Yeah. You've like forgotten what you do.
Yeah, I forgot what the world's like.
Definitely did. Definitely forgot about life as it used to be.
Okay, the biggest difference between Swedish and American food culture and restaurants, and the thing that I miss the most about the United States. A lot of food. And it's a huge opportunity for Sweden. I hope someone brings this to Sweden. It'll change Swedish food culture and the way people eat food and their habits and so on. And that is the concept of fast casual dining. Yeah. So in Sweden, let's say you go to the gym after work. It's 7 o'clock and you're heading home and you just want to get a bite to eat
just real
on
quick.
The way home from the gym, or you just met a friend or you worked late that night. You're heading home and you want to just get something to eat. In Sweden, you have 2 options. You have casual dining, which is a restaurant that you go in and sit down. You have to spend an hour there. You look on the menu.
Dang.
You have a server come and so on. And the other option is fast food. So you can go to McDonald's or Mac's.
Yeah.
In the US, there is a $1 billion industry called fast casual. This is when I go out to eat, this is the majority of the time, this is the food I get. These are things like Chipotle, Jersey Mike's, Tender Greens, Mendocino Farms, Sweet Greens.
That's different.
Those sort of restaurant chains that are in the middle of fast food and sit down dining.
And they're like healthier than fast food. So it's still like fast casual, but it's not like eating a McDonald's hamburger. It's still like fresher food.
It's healthier than casual dining too. It's usually some sort of lettuce-based meal or a sandwich with, it's just like proteins and good foods. It's affordable,
I like
quick,
Chipotle though,
and easy. And you can't find anything like that in Sweden.
That's interesting. I like Chipotle, but Chipotle be stingy though. They be stingy with the meat servings and stuff like that. One time they was stingy with the rice. I said, come on, rice is cheap. You know, you ain't got to be stingy with that. But I definitely understand. I ain't gonna lie. I'll be getting tired when I'm in a restaurant for an hour or so, especially when you already finish your food and stuff like that. I guess it depends. It depends on who you're talking to, who you're with. But if I'm by myself, I'm trying to get in and out.
There are places, but that's another thing. They close so early. Yeah. So if you're going home from the gym at 8 o'clock at night, they've already closed. Right. Because they're more open for the lunch guests. Right. So we have, Holy Greens, we have Beats. Those are like Wrap Burrito Bar. Ooh. We have those type of food. Or like restaurants, but they close. Right. Like a 6 or something.
Like how I was in college.
I love is Jersey Mike's. It's basically like a higher end version of Subway. Oh. Really good deli meat sandwiches.
That's a
Chipotle,
big sandwich.
Which is like Wrap Burrito Bar. But my favorite by far is Mendocino Farms. It's healthy, fresh, affordable salads, sandwiches, and soups. This is just something that is missing from Sweden, and I want to start a fast casual restaurant. I mean, it
might
would
have
be so
to.
popular here because there's a huge market gap that needs to be filled. I just think it is such a huge opportunity. And if there's any restaurateurs out there, any entrepreneurs that need an idea, go to the US, go to LA, and just go to all of these fast casual restaurants and bring back the concept to Sweden. It's $1 billion idea in the making. So I hope someone acts on it.
Yeah, you talk about this. You talk about this like every day. Like, oh, I wish there were fast casual dining here.
Yeah. That was good, my guy Evan. Now, in the end, that sounded like college to me, because I remember being in college my freshman year, and you had the meal plan with the our cafeteria and stuff, and the caf closed at like 8-9 o'clock. And we used to have hoop sessions, and those things could go for hours. So by the time you done hooping, you trying to rush to the caf because they close at 8. So it's 7:50, but they let you, as long as you in there, they ain't gonna let nobody in at 8. But if you in there, they gonna still let you eat and stuff. Like, that's what that remind me of college, man. That was, tough days, but good food. But this was good. Glad I got to check it out. I guess my guy missing the restaurant culture up there in America, but he coming from LA, and I know LA got a lot of options, because it seemed like all the food videos that I've seen, whether I'm just on my phone watching on Facebook and stuff, LA got a lot of options. So I know he eating good out there. He eating very good. But that's all I have for this video, guys. Y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Send down those recommendations. Give this video a thumbs up. Let me make sure, do I subscribe to the... Okay, I'm already subscribed. I'm going to give them a like, though. But I appreciate y'all. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe to their channel as well. But y'all be blessed, be the best, and be you. I'm out.